Well, just over an hour ago, you might have seen it here on Fox, the House approved a temporary payroll tax cut extension, but this might just be a preview of things to come. The deal reached today only good for 2 months, which means it could be deja vu all over again. Chris Niedermeier is the former U.S. Senate Chief of Staff, former Deputy Director at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. So we just got through a pretty rancorous week or couple of weeks. And in a couple of months, we're going to do it all over again?
You know, John, you're right. It could be more of the same. We're getting closer and closer to next year's election. Obama and the Democrats feel that the Republicans in the House gave them a Christmas gift with the quagmire of this week and all the delay that happened. And you still have the same scenario in Washington. You still have a handful of Tea Party Republicans in the House that don't want to come into the fold with John Boehner's efforts. And you now have Obama, who used the bully pulpit a little bit this week with the people behind him, more campaigning than some people would like to see, but it worked. At least they feel it worked, and now they feel they've been handed a gift of this issue of middle class versus wealthy taxpayers.
So you think advantage Obama in this scenario, in the outcome?
In this week, yes, and I haven't felt that in the past. In the past, I've been in line with people like Karl Rove and others who've said that Obama is in the White House. He should act like the CEO, but he's been acting like the chairman of the board. He likes to come in at the end and christen the deal, and yet presidents need to roll up their sleeves and get in there and bargain, and they need to cut the deal with members of the House and Senate.
You say that the Speaker had problems with especially members of the Tea Party movement. The House is supposed to be the body that's closest to the people. A lot of those Tea Party people were elected to change the way things get done in Washington. They don't want to go the old way, the way it's always been done.
And that's true. And, you know, when I was a legislator on the state level, but I was part of a dissident group as well of conservative Democrats who wanted to hold things up. And at some point, if you're not going to get the deal after fighting and fighting, you have to go back to your districts and say, we held our principles and we're moving on, because you have 160 million people all over this country, workers who are counting on the payroll tax cut, and you've got 3 million unemployed who are counting on the extension of their unemployment benefits. And so let's come back and fight this battle in 2 months if we can't get the 1 year now.
So the Keystone Pipeline is still in this thing. That's one of the deals that the Senate, that's one of the additions the Senate put in this legislation. So in 2 months, President Obama has to either veto the whole thing or he has to sign off on that pipeline and agree to get it going, right?
Yes, and my guess is he will, because it was part of the deal in the Senate. But I also think that if he can't come up with a deal to get the House and the Senate, the Democrats are feeling their oats now because of what happened in the last week. And they would much prefer to fight this battle every 2 to 4 months and gain, I must say, political points back home, just as the Republicans, when last summer the deficit package, the debt limit, was before Obama and Boehner. The president wanted a 1-year extension. Boehner wanted a shorter term, and that's what legislators do when it's a hot potato. They don't want to vote on it continually. So in this case, the Democrats wouldn't mind this issue coming up every 2 to 4 months, reminding people that they're for middle-class taxpayers, and yet Republicans want to vote for it once and be done with it.
But doesn't this whole thing have the president and many Democrats, even Harry Reid, on record as essentially saying it's a bad idea to raise taxes in this economy?
That is what they're saying. And I think many of the middle class...
And that's kind of a profound achievement for Republicans, isn't it?
To what?
Well, to get Democrats on record as saying, let's not raise taxes, let's keep them low.
Yes, it is. But it's also what they're saying is don't raise them on the middle class. There's still that issue of wealthy versus middle class. And in 2 months, the key issue, as you indicate, the 2 months, what's going to be on the board? It's going to be how do we pay for the extension? And the Democrats are going to come back and say we want to add taxes on the wealthy. And the Republicans, particularly the Tea Party in the House, and many people are sympathetic with their point of view, are going to say let's cut spending.
And right now, this payroll tax cut extension is being paid for by extra fees that are going to be tacked on to home mortgages at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So essentially what you have is people who own homes or who are buying homes footing the bill for sort of a tax cut extension for everybody, right?
That is in part. But let me just add one thing. You know, the problem in Washington is that the scenario isn't going to change. The atmosphere is the same. There's an old saying, Washington, D.C. is 67 square miles surrounded by reality. and that is true today. I'm sure the American public believes that. They want to throw everybody out. The influence of money is still very strong. The legislators don't have the relationships they had years ago. And this quagmire is likely to continue into the political year.
Washington, D.C. was a swamp when they built the place, and I think it still is.
You're
Chris
right.
Niedermeier.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.